All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, my dear Mentor trainees, my mentees all over the Philippines. Nagbabalik na naman po ang inyong lingkod, your corporate Mentor trainer, your soft skills teacher, your buddy to success corporate Mentor trainer, Mentor Myron Sta. At ito po ang 7th episode ng Season 5 ng hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. Ayan. So, bago ang lahat, syempre, ako personally, excited ako makakwentuhan o pwede rin makakwentawanan ang ating guest resource person sa ating napakagandang topic sa gabing ito. Pero bago na, syempre, batiin muna natin lahat ng ating Mentor trainee sa buong Pilipinas. Ayan. Gusto ko ring batiin yung mga kasamahan ko, my fellow officers sa Juan Sumulong Memorial Junior College Alumni Association. So congrats sa ating lahat sa very successful blood donation drive from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. kanina. At syempre, kinailangan ko nang umalis para sa episode ngayong gabi. Itong hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. So sana yung ating General Assembly, it went very well and I'm pretty sure. Okay? So babawi po ako sa inyong lahat dyan. And syempre, kailangan din nating batiin lahat ng mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, kapitbahay, kababata, kaklase, katrabaho, hindi lamang po ng inyong lingkod. Alright, si Mentor Myron Sta, kundi pati na rin ang ating guest resource person who in a bit we will proudly introduce to you. Ayan. Siyempre, hindi ko na masyadong pinatatagal ito. No? Ang oras natin ay 8:07. So, sana nakakain kayo ng napakasarap na Saturday dinner with your loved ones. Ayan. So kung gusto niyo mas maging successful or kung papunta pa lang doon ay maging successful, mapanegosyo man o corporate world, ayan, kung naman ang linya ng inyong trabaho, so sana kayo ay kasama namin, kapiling namin, nakaupo sa harapan ng inyong desktop, laptop, or mobile device at handa na hindi lang ma-inspire o matulungang maging self-motivated, pero ma-enhance, madagdagan, mag-level up ang inyong knowledge, skills, and attitude. So, ito ang inyong weekly dose of inspiration and learning, hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. So, teka, ano ba yung pag-uusapan natin in a bit? No? So, ang pag-uusapan po natin, mga kaibigan, ay ito, just to remind everyone. Ayan. Wow, no, very big fan ako nitong konseptong ito eh. Kasi sabi nga nila, the best type of leadership is actually when you can lead yourself. So gusto kong matuto pa ng madami about this self-leadership revolution and what it is. So, wag na natin patagalin ito, mga kaibigan. It is with honor and pleasure to introduce to you our guest resource person na mag-share ng mayroon kaming advice sa gabing ito, no? So ang ating pong guest resource person has over 22 years of leadership within multinational entities in the IT software and BPO shared services. Uy, pareho kami ng, of course, nandun pa rin siya. Ako naman po'y galing din sa industriyang yan. She has extensive experience spanning diverse domains, including customer support operations, quality management, training, human resources, and talent, brand, and communications. And last but certainly not least, strategic thinker, people-focused, transformational leader, and goal-driven. So again, it is with honor and privilege to introduce to you our guest resource person for tonight, si Coach Roda Merca. There you go. Hi. Hi, Roda.
Good evening, Myron. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yes, of course, I'm going to say you're welcome, but actually, I'm going to have to thank you 1,000 times more. Siyempre, alam ko namang, di ba na, tulad nga niyan, you are at work, of course, taking the lead in your operations, but nagbigay ka sa amin ng inyong very busy time para paunlakan ang imbitasyon namin. So, kumusta naman? By the way, Roda, if you don't mind, I would like to congratulate and say good job to your team for having this really nice setup and helping with you with your video and audio needs, right?
Yeah, so shout out to my team. So even if most of them are not really working the night, they actually volunteer to be here, full of love and support for this show. So shout out to my Open Text team.
Yes. O baka magtampo sila, kaya tingnan natin, no? Siguro kung hindi man lahat, madaming sumusuporta sa iyo eh. Kaya, sige, umpisahan natin kay John Ray Torres. Ayan. So, hello, John Ray. We also have Ramon Tagpo. Okay. We also have Catherine Banzon, ready to be inspired. Naku, talagang ako din, ready to be inspired, Catherine. Meron din si Michael Turla. Ayan, go Miss Roda. Yan ang Team Roda. Team Roda or squad ni Roda. JM Vergara. Yan. Neil Obnamia, agree. Johannes Domingo. And many more. Pasensya na guys, no? Sa sobrang dami yung supporter ni Coach Roda, baka maubos na ang ating oras. Kaya, let the limelight, correct, shine very clearly and magnificently on Coach Roda. So Coach Roda, bago ang lahat, bago natin pag-usapan itong the self-leadership revolution, ang ganda parang talagang very excited ito exciting pag-usapan, ano? Sino ba si Coach Roda Merca? Apart from the fact that, of course, you are my fellow top 100 Filipino to follow on LinkedIn for inspiration and learning. Good job. Congrats.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations to both of us. So let me introduce myself. I am actually a leader at OpenText Philippines. So as a background, OpenText is a global company. We are a leader in information management, and we actually work with cutting edge technology, transforming companies in their digital transformation. So I've been a leader for more than 20 years, which is the very reason why when you reached out to me and asked me, to talk about one of the things that I'm an expert on, I thought it's just fitting to talk about what I do at work, which is being a leader. So in alignment with that, because I'm a strong believer that, as you mentioned, right? So great leadership starts with self-leadership. And at the same time, we can change our environment by changing ourselves. So those are the two things that I'm a believer.
That's correct. Sabi nga, before you can even lead others, you have to lead yourself first. But my question is, my follow-up question, Coach Roda, is, have you always been a leader even before the corporate world, like when you were in college or earlier than that?
Yes. So I've been a leader even when I was in grade school and high school. I've been a student council president as well in high school. So it has been within me ever since I was a young adult. And then, it was actually a journey. Like looking back, definitely I have evolved and transformed into the person that I am right now. But definitely leadership is a journey. It's a constant edit, a constant evolution of oneself.
That's correct, no? And I believe it really rhymes with revolution, all right? The leadership evolution. And then later on, we're going to talk about the self-leadership revolution, right?
Yeah.
And so you work with OpenText, which is, of course, also in the BPO industry, right? How did you land there among the stars there? I mean, was that really like your target right before graduating from college and even with your first job, or you just got there for one reason or another?
Okay, so OpenText is actually an IT company. So as I mentioned, it's a global company. When I first started my career, it wasn't really the OpenText as my first company. So I've been through several other companies prior to that. When I joined OpenText, I actually joined as a human resources practitioner. And it's not so well known of a company here in the Philippines, but I'm very blessed and fortunate that I was able to find such a great company, great culture, people, and the products that we provide and the services to all our customers as well. So it's as I mentioned, it's an information company, and we provide digital transformation to other companies. We actually cater to 900 out of the 100 top companies globally.
Wow. Wow, top companies. So OpenText has really been adding so much value to your clientele. Actually, right when I started promoting your guesting on my show, okay, so one of my friends who I've been mentoring because he's been wanting to also join the industry of professional training, speaking, consulting, messaged me Kuya Myron, kilala mo pala si Miss Roda. Oh yeah, why? Yeah, I know that she's with Open Text. Oh, we work together. So I just wanna greet the person, and maybe you know him, although he said that you're from different groups. So his name is Kim Camacho. There. So maybe
Ah,
what? Yeah, one of your
yes,
guys, knows him.
yes,
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah.
if he's there, oh, shout out Kim Camacho. I'm talking to Coach Roda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
And
thank
makinig
you.
ka rin, Kim, because makakatulong sa ating dalawa ito so that we can be better self-leaders. Ayan. And then, okay, so it's been a while, of course, that you've been overseeing operations, and of course, and sabi mo nga, you also had experience with human resources as a manager, right? And that's actually very beneficial that you became a human resource manager because of course as HR practitioners ourselves, right, we get to see the big picture of both the strengths and areas for improvement of people when it comes to being productive, being efficient, managing themselves and their priorities. So in your experience, because I believe that's going to lead us to self-leadership, what for you would be the major areas for improvement of people, regardless where you work, when it comes to being productive and efficient?
Um, we normally focused on external factors with regard to being productive and efficient. And this alludes to my topic right now, where the focus should have been internal, and it's about leading oneself, about understanding and knowing your values, what you stand for, and at the same time being able to identify what are your goals in life, what are your ideal scenarios, and then going into that route, like pursuing yourself to be able to do things that would actually achieve those two things that I've actually mentioned. So yeah, in essence, to answer your question, Myron, it's when I started being a leader, I focused on external factors like how to be strategic, how to coach, and the like. Where in fact we should be focusing on the basic foundation, which is going within, so that we should not be going without.
Right. I love that. You must first start within before it goes outwards. Wow, that's a wonderful
Yes,
statement right there. Exactly, because I remember my statement earlier. You cannot lead other people if you cannot or won't even lead yourself. It all starts from you, right? So if you
right.
still have
Yes,
areas for improvement within yourself, then start with yourself first. Ang galing, And then I love what you said earlier, Coach Roda, no? Na para bang you treat yourself like a company because we do those things with our company as well, right? You have your vision, your mission, you set your goal, you identify your set of values, and that defines who you are and your compass that would lead you to your desired personal definition of success. Tama ba yun, Coach?
exactly. And you were actually spot on when you mentioned that you have to be able we have to be able to lead ourselves before we lead others, because essentially we cannot give what we don't have. And I remember when previous 2 weeks, I think, when I attended one of your podcasts with Coach Kino, CEO Kino.
Kinu, yeah.
That's also what he mentioned about financial management, right? You cannot manage an organization or a company without being able to manage your own finances as well. So the concept is very similar. We have to be able to lead ourselves, and that's very important.
Exactly. And that's what we call value addition, Coach Roda. No? I mean, it's not being boastful or what have you, right? Because at the end of the day, it's value that people are after, right? Like you're going to train me on leadership, but have you actually led yourself? You're going to
Right,
train me or coach me on selling, but have you actually sold yourself,
right,
right?
right. And since we're already at this topic, I guess it's but appropriate, Mentor Myron, to be able to articulate our why as well. Why this topic is actually important. What's critical about self leadership, and you've already mentioned it a while ago. Self leadership serves as the compass for our lives to be able to live a meaningful and fulfilling life, essentially. So with self-leadership, if we constantly do this and we constantly practice this, we'll be able to achieve the goals that we've actually set. There's less stress because you would know your priorities. And I remember, if I can just share a story, why I also landed in this particular topic was because when I was on my way, back from LaSalle. I was studying my master's degree, and I am an achiever, as you introduced me a while ago, and I normally set goals. I was so overwhelmed, like so many things that I would want to accomplish, so little time, right? And these things can actually get overwhelming and stressful. And so we have to learn how to be able to prioritize. What do we really stand for? Understanding yourself, like the self-knowledge. What are your values? Uh, and what are your strengths that we can actually leverage on? And then, as I mentioned, set the goals, align your action towards those goals, and essentially you'll build resilience, you'll be able to influence others, and then you'll be able to also showcase your authentic self to others as well.
That's correct. It's like there are really several factors within ourselves that we have to lead, right? Because it's like we are our own employee, right? And
Yeah.
that's why they say that if we are not able to master or excel in self leadership, ourself can be our worst enemy to combat, right? You agree with that? And
Yes, and yeah.
go ahead, Coach Roda.
No, I was about to say, you because you mentioned that ourselves is the most difficult to combat, right? It's so easy most of the time to just put the blame on others, but it's so hard to take responsibility of our actions, and what we stand for. So um, they said that, whenever you point your finger, one finger to someone, we have to bear in mind that multiple fingers actually point at us.
Yeah, back
So
at us, correct.
cognizant of that.
That's right. And Coach Roda, I want to thank on behalf of all our viewers right now, and even the future, viewers who would chance upon this video online, right? Like Mentor Myron, Coach Roda, some of the concerns of people when it comes to leading themselves well would be the approach when it comes to maximizing time, right? Just like what you said earlier, so many things to do, too little time, right? I'm not a superhuman, right? So
Yeah.
how is it that other people can multitask? Other people are multi-affiliated. They can juggle several affiliations all at the same time. Other people can do more than I can, and other people can go up the corporate ladder faster than I can, and other people can get awarded here and there much more better than I can. How are they able to do that when all of us have the same 24 hours a day?
Yeah. So as they said po, Mentor Myron, no, what we focus on actually expands. So it's ultimately very important to be able to focus on what is important to us, what excites us, and what we actually love. And less is more. There's some truth to that statement. And that's the reason why others are able to do more with less.
That's correct. And I believe you're a perfect example, right? And of course, just by looking at you, you're still very young, right? But you already have a master's degree, right? And not a lot of people can do that. And that's exactly what self leadership is for, right? Because a lot of us, Coach Roda, instead of finding ways to be able to accomplish things that we think we cannot accomplish, right? We find excuses instead. Is that part of self leadership as well? Trying to negate or how do you call this, manage self doubts, self imposed limitations, etc.
Right. So it is. So I guess, to answer your question, it is. But I think it's important for us to be able to define it for our audience as well. So self leadership is about understanding ourselves, It's also about crafting our desired outcomes, our goals, and it's also about taking responsibility of our actions and our emotions. So essentially, when we talk about self-leadership, Coach Mentor Myron, this term has been coined 1980s. I mean, several years ago. Can you just imagine? But it's not really a common language. It has to be defined. It has to be explained to a lot of people. But essentially, it has a scientific foundation, and it has already proven that it would actually make individuals much more productive. That self leadership. Those who practice self leadership are much more effective leaders, and at the same time, they are much more authentic. So, what are the three components? You mentioned a while ago, taking responsibility of your actions and emotions. For me, that's the first component of self leadership, and also another component is knowledge, understanding who you are, uh, and then also understanding your values. And then the third component of self leadership is really more of what are the self goals that you would want to achieve, so that you'll be able to prioritize the things that you have to do. Again, the end goal is to have a much more meaningful and fulfilling life.
All right, and I can't help but want to echo what you just said to all our viewers, our audience, Coach Roda. Number one, guys, please take note of that. Okay, if you want to be a better self leaders and eventually be successful in business or in at work or in life, take responsibility of your emotions. So that's being, Coach Roda, emotionally intelligent or possessing high EQ, correct?
Yes, correct. You're
And
right.
And then you also mentioned there you have to take that first step. It is not, it's easier said than done. It's very difficult. Being able to master yourself, self mastery, right? Knowing yourself. You mentioned what you stand for, your philosophies, your principles, your values. And I love what you said earlier, Coach Roda. You have to answer as early as now, okay? The question why. There. Is it like, just to clarify, Coach Roda, are you right, like referring to why you exist, your purpose in life, your destiny, yung kumbaga sa Tagalog, anong nakaguhit sa iyong palad? What's your like, is there an internal whisper telling you what your calling is? Yung ba yung why?
Um, well, essentially, it's really more of uh, what's your purpose in life, right? And each one of us would have our own definition of it. And then what are the values that you currently have? So just I'll give you an example. And it's not it did I mean, these things did not come easy for me to unfold for myself. But it was really more of a constant uh, introspection, and then constant um, watching my behavior, like why am I responding to such X and Y. So as an example would be what did I unfold as my values. So I am a believer of life. I mean it's a mnemonic that I actually has created for myself, so that it would serve as my pillar in the things that I do. Life actually stands for me as lifelong learning and well-being. So I am in a constant search for new learnings, new challenges, and these things are what keeps me going. And of course, good well-being. And then the second one is the cornerstone of my character and behavior is integrity. It is the entry point for respect and trust with other individuals. And then family and relationship makes life much more meaningful and fulfilling. Having friends around, my team around, and my family as well. And then the last one is being empathetic and authentic. So understanding others and at the same time showcasing myself to others just the way I am, right? So it's an example of trying, I mean, those are my values right now, but it can evolve because it's leadership and self-leadership is actually a constant journey.
It is.
So it's important to always introspect, self-reflect, and then be able to do things that is in alignment with what you stand for.
Wow. And no wonder why you are very successful right now. And you would still achieve more successes in life, that's for certain. Okay, we are not done yet, guys. We will still come back for more. Definitely. We will ask Coach Roda more thought provoking questions so that you can help yourself appreciate and apply this concept of self leadership revolution. And guys, I would highly encourage you to ask Coach Roda questions. Help me ask her questions. Or if you're not going to ask questions, be part of the engagement by commenting. And we would try our best to, show here on screen all of your comments and feedback. And of course, please help us share this more around. Let's make this viral so we can help more people. This live stream simulcast across three platforms at the same time. So we have Facebook, okay, on my Facebook page. Please like, follow Mentor Myron Sta. This is also on LinkedIn. Okay, just look me up there, Mentor Myron Sta. And this can also be watched and listened to on YouTube. There you go. Yes, just find Mentor Myron Sta or the Corporate Enter Trainer on my YouTube channel. So, Coach Roda, we will still be back in a bit and we'll just have a few or a short commercial break. Okay, I'll see you again.
Are you looking for a software that will monitor the working hours and output of your employees, whether working from home, working remotely, or in the office? A software that your employees will appreciate as everyone will be pulling their weight? Well, look no further because Workmate is here. Workmate is a time tracking and remote monitoring software with collaboration or project management feature and a planner. Yes, you heard it right, just like your 3-in-1 coffee. So relax, have a sip, and click the link to know more.
Alright, nagbabalik po uli ang episode 7 ng season 5 ng hashtag Myron Kaming Advice. And syempre, kasama po natin ang ating coach for tonight who's discussing with yours truly self-leadership revolution, si Coach Roda Merca. Let's welcome her back. There you go. Hello again, Coach.
Oh, yes.
Alright. Alam mo coach, sobrang ang dami kong, natututunan ano, especially may mga very big impact-filled words that you've, mentioned before we went on break. Number 1 would be integrity. Number 2 would be, of course, enhancing your credibility. Number 3 would be, of course, the family, right? And we know that, our number 1 source of inspiration and the effort to self-motivate ourselves would be our family. And, madami pa kaming, gustong matutunan Coach Roda, pero bago 'yan siyempre kailangan i-accommodate muna natin ang ating mga tagapanood. Halimbawa ito Coach Roda, merong nagtanong dito and this, is coming from Michael Torla, ayan pakita natin. So what would be your one big advice to our young aspiring leaders? Perhaps si Michael 'yon, go ahead coach.
Yeah, sure. So I guess, my advice, it goes back to our topic right now. I've started my career so overwhelmed, being a leader, trying to get as much certification, as much education, degree, but it can get overwhelming. So it's very important to be able to streamline, be able to understand your priorities, your values first, and then understand what are your goals, and then you align your action towards those two things. Because if I remember when I was a young leader, of course, I had to be able to experience before learning, and I wish that there were individuals who have taught me that it's important to focus.
Your early
So for
mentors,
young leaders out there, it's focus on yourself, focus on who you are and what you stand for. Um, Disregard your external circumstance, but instead take accountability of your action. And that's the very essence of leadership. You have to be able to lead yourself and then inspire others to follow and influence them. So
yeah.
I hope I was able to answer the question.
Definitely. I agree highly with you, Coach Roda. You may have all the certifications about leadership or particularly self leadership, all the degrees that you've mentioned, right? And they're very important, right? Because they're knowledge and skills foundations, right? But at the end of the day, it's always the application and the impact, right? Those are two very important yardsticks of leadership, right? Okay, so hopefully natuto tayo doon, Michael. And then there's also this question from Marqueros Castada. What can you advise in our generational eras, Gen Z? Ito yung bagong generation, Coach Roda. Or why adapt with good self-revolution? Ayan.
So so when we talk about revolution, so the reason why I requested for the title of the show to be a self-leadership revolution, because when we talk about revolution, we talk about change. We talk about transformation.
Yes.
We talk about impact, as you mentioned a while ago. So self-leadership is just, you know, a movement, hoping that we are all able to focus on ourselves, and being able to focus on ourselves will be able to impact others. With our Gen Z and even our Gen Y, what I've
Yeah, the
noticed,
millennials. Yeah.
right, in this generation is that they are very high on impact to others. They are very high on causes, diversity causes, whether it's women leadership or LGBTQIA or diversity, equity, and inclusion. These generation definitely is very concerned with what's going on externally. And my advice to this generation is, while it is important to be able to be knowledgeable, about these movements, it's equally important to, again, going back to yourself, introspect, be the change that you want to be, right? So if we would want to have diversity, equity, and inclusion, let's say in the workplace, if we ourselves are advocates of it, we are knowledgeable about it and how to be able to impact it, then it would cause a ripple effect because there are several individuals doing that, and individual efforts can actually have collective impact.
Exactly. There you go. So going back to Marqueros, hopefully that's a very satisfying answer to help you with your journey in life. Eto, Coach Roda, napakaganda tong tanong na to eh. Because I was also about to ask you this, all right, for the second part of our interview. Because, of course, we both know that as HR practitioners, when we help develop people, the totality is what we develop. And the totality is represented by knowledge, what we know. And we've been talking about that since the start of this interview, right? Skills, what
Right.
you can do and do well, right? But then there's this very important element that's usually not taken as seriously as the other two, or set aside or downplayed, which is our attitude. And leading to that, there's a question here, because I agree, because self leadership is insufficient if you cannot inspire yourself. That you have to rely on other people to do that for you. So, from Neil Obnamia, how do I inspire and motivate myself to continuously strive for excellence? Maybe during times that he's feeling down. Go ahead, Coach Roda.
All right. So um I definitely also experience, such down times or downturns, right? So because life is not really perfect, but how do I lead myself to go back, to my goals, go back to what I stand for? It's really having that purpose. Like in the workplace, I've been telling my team that the purpose that we have is to create better lives, and my team can attest to that, and so whenever there are moments that I am down, or there are moments that I feel that I'm not at my best self, I just always go back to that purpose. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And without fail, it would jumpstart, my emotions. It would get me excited right away because the purpose is there. And it has been established for myself. So I guess, to Neil and to everyone who's watching, how do you motivate yourself? Then you have to be able to establish your purpose, understand your why. Why are you doing what you're doing?
Wow, that's one of the best answers I've ever heard. Okay, in my life, about helping ourselves be inspired and get motivated. Kumbaga, ano lang yan eh, yung what's God's will for you? Yan, di ba? What's written, right? Kumbaga, kasama din dyan, Coach Roda, yung not just knowing what your purpose is, right? Why your reason for existence, or your reason for being or living, but also yung mga things like when we're talking about motivation, yung mga para kanino ka bumabangon. Ayan, di ba?
Yes.
Para kanino yung pagod mo sa open text, yung pagpupuyat mo sa open text, yung pag-work mo ng night shift sa open text, para kanino lahat yan? Tama ba yan, Coach Roda?
Yes, you're right. And going back, since you mentioned about that, I remember like watching one of your shows a couple of weeks ago. And again, it was the podcast with Coach Kino. You mentioned that it was actually your wife's birthday, but
Oh, yes.
even if it was your wife's birthday, you were very disciplined in showing up and going through this show because you have your why, and you have your purpose on why you're having this show, and I definitely applaud you for that.
Thank you, thank you. And of course, guys, we cannot proceed to the next question unless we acknowledge and commit to applying what Coach Roda said. So, sino ba mga nakikita kong pangalan dito? Si Catherine, si Marquero, si Michael, Riom, Mary, and all of you guys. Kung hindi nyo pa nasasagot yung tanong na yon, why? Why? Sagutin nyo na. And make sure, no, makakatulong din yung Coach Roda, hindi lang nasa isip eh. Kasi mauntog ka lang, baka makalimutan mo na eh. Dapat dino-document mo, you put it in writing, di ba? Yung iba pa nga, yung mga very visual learners, Coach Roda, yung answer sa kanilang why, ginagawa nila ng imagery, ng visual representation, para pagkagising nila, nakikita nila, di ba? And they're always reminded every day of my why, my purpose on this planet, why God created me, God's will for me. Tama ba yan, Coach Roda?
And you're right. Like there would be a point in our life wherein we're so sure of ourselves, right? We know our purpose, like we know our values, but then there will be times wherein we tend to forget, and because it's about learning, unlearning, and then relearning. So it's a cycle. So it's very important to keep on remembering it. You've mentioned a while ago, so, some tactics to remember, like write it down, or what I normally use as usage of mnemonics, meaning to say I try to remember three things by using letters, patterns of letters, and
Right.
what it stands for,
Memory
so that I
tools.
can remember it. So I mean there are different strategies, but it's normal to forget, but you always have to go back to it and relearn it.
That's correct. Ito may mga similar questions dito, and I apologize if we're not able to accommodate all of your questions. But there's this good question that I want to ask Coach Roda here from Mary Charlene Salamat. And afterwards, mapapasalamat to sa iyo for sure. How do you balance self-discipline and self-compassion in your approach to self-leadership? Uy, ang gandang tanong yun.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a difficult question. So how do you balance self-discipline and self-compassion? Um, how I do balance it for myself is I go back to my values. I go back to what's most important, more important, and most important to me. Um, and be able to really assess which one. Honestly, I don't think there can be a balance between discipline and compassion, because it really depends on what you prioritize and what's important for you. If
Yes.
discipline is much more important for you, then you have to work on that. If it's compassion that's much more important for you, you'll have that. You have to guide yourself. You have to use it as a compass, like your values as a compass to what you have to work on as an action.
Right.
I'm not
Oh,
sure if I answered that question,
yeah.
Mentor Myron.
Right. Ako, Coach Roda, parang ang interpretation ko sa question ni Mary would be, yung what she pertains to as self-discipline may be something like being very workaholic or career-oriented, trying to chase your success, be it in business or at work in the corporate world. And then the one that she's trying to ask us, siguro yung balance would be yung malasakit naman sa sarili, yung taking care of our health, yung rewarding ourselves, and yung pleasure, self-gratification. Tama ba yun? Yung ba yun, Mary? So I think that's what she's trying to
Ah,
clarify, right?
yeah, yeah.
Paano
So I mean,
nababalanse yung dalawa?
right. So if that's it's the same answer, I guess, that I would have. Because there are individuals out there who would be so driven, I mean, for lack of a better term, workaholic, like always online, always working. But that is their supposed to be priority. Like it gives them a sense of fulfillment and passion. And I can remember during my younger years, I was, or maybe I'm still am, like that, right? But it is my way of coping and managing my stress, because I don't want to have a lot of action items that I haven't really completed. So, to answer, it really depends on the priority. It depends on what's the perspective of that individual. Like for myself, if it's being driven, and that's the reason why I'm being workaholic, and at the same time trying to being workaholic is managing my stress. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's how I actually
It sure does,
operate.
yeah.
Right. And or if you're much more gearing towards uh, having a work-life balance, but it really it's work-life integration now. Then you have to be able to do things that you love, uh, maybe for travel, or go to spend time with your family, spend time with friends, social activities. That's how you're able to balance the other front of it.
All right, that's a very good answer. And going back to who's that again? Mary. Mary, I hope that's the answer you're looking for. And thank you for that wonderful question. Eto, hindi ako personally din masasatisfy sa aking interest na matuto about self-leadership revolution if I'm not gonna ask this. Because earlier we were talking about, of course, yung knowing what your personal vision and mission are, setting your goals, your objectives, knowing yourself thoroughly and deeply. And then we also talked about balancing self-discipline and self-compassion, right? And then helping yourself be inspired all the time and getting self-motivated. Ito, and correct me as well, Coach Roda, if this is not part of self-leadership, how about naman yung ating kanya-kanyang definition of happiness, satisfaction, and contentment? Lahat tayo, di ba, talagang endlessly searching for that right? And I think that helps with the internal peace of mind or balance as well. So what's your take on that? Is that part of self-leadership as well? Finding your happiness, satisfaction, contentment?
Yes, it is actually part of self-leadership. As I mentioned a while ago, Mentor Myron, there are three aspects to self-leadership. One is your self-knowledge, understanding your values and what you stand for. And then second is self-goal setting. So understanding what are your desired outcomes, what are your goals. And then the third one is taking responsibility of your actions and your emotions. So being contented, being happy, and then enjoying what you have. It should be the outcome of those two things, the first two things that I've mentioned, which is the knowledge of yourself and then being able to set your goals. So, of course, it's a constant cycle with these three things. If you've already set some goals and values, like at one point in your life, once you've aligned your actions and achieved them, of course, you have to do that all over again. Be able to understand, what's important to you at that moment, and then set goals again, like a different one, so that you can manage your happiness, you can manage your peace of mind, and the like.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach Roda. That's a great answer. Teka, maghanap pa tayo dito na pwede pa nating ma-accommodate because we still have 7 minutes anyway. We can still accommodate one last question. Okay. Let me see here. Oh, this one is good, but just to give chance to others, naghahanap pa tayo. All right. By the way, guys, while I'm looking for another question to accommodate, thank you for this very engaging experience with you guys, okay? Meron ako nakita dito nalagpasan lang natin Ito sige, accommodate natin ito. Okay, this is from Alvin Dale Alejo. If you could think of one word that would perfectly describe good self-leadership, Coach Roda, what would it be? And lagyan na rin natin ng Y. Parang Miss Universe, di ba?
So the question was, if I can think of one word that would
perfectly describe good self-leadership, what would it be?
One word. So Alvin, that's a difficult question, no? So just one word in, I guess, it's purpose. Self-leadership is knowing your purpose.
There you go. Okay? So ano yan kumbaga, sabi nga, trust the process. If it is procedural, then that's the number one step, right, Coach Roda? Know your purpose. So we would be delegating that to you as an assignment, a homework, guys, okay? Right after the end of this 1 hour interview, 9 p.m., start with that. Sit down, reflect, introspect, know your purpose. Ayan. Okay. Coach Roda, talagang ito talagang ang ganda nung nung title natin, Revolution Sabi mo nga yung transformation, right? Yung change. Now, last question, Coach Roda. If a person who's not at your level yet, right? Not overseeing a department yet, not promoted yet. If a person, para din alam ng lahat, no? Baka naman mamaya kasi mag-hold on sila doon. Tapos hindi naman pala, marami pang keys na kailangang aralin o i-apply sa buhay. So if a person is already great at leading himself or herself, for those wanting to get promoted one of these days, so am I ready to get promoted? Am I ready to become leader of others? Or there are some more things that I have to excel in first?
Yeah. So with self leadership, once you get to know those three things or get to be experts in the things that I've already mentioned, and it's never a static one. I just want to clarify that it's always evolving, as I mentioned. It's always a constant journey, even to my level. I'm constantly improving myself. I'm constantly finding myself. Then you can journey on leading others. Because once you're already successful in leading yourself, others will follow. You'll be able to influence others. You'll be able to impact others. As I mentioned, let's all be the change we want to see, right? So if we cannot be that change, then we will never see that change outside.
That's right. Yeah, that's a very classic food for thought from Mahatma Gandhi, right? Be the change you want to see. There you go. Okay. But at least, guys, that's one step further. If you are already a good self leader, then you deserve, okay, being promoted, because then you would already a role model for others to emulate. Is that right, Coach Roda?
Correct. That's spot on.
All right, Coach Roda. Nako, gusto ko pa sanang magtanong pa at alam ko marami pang gusto ring magtanong pa ng more dito, no? But unfortunately, we only have 3 minutes left. And I believe that's also part of being a great self-leader, being very disciplined with time. Tama ba yung Coach Roda? Di ba? Right. Oo, kumbaga, talagang yan yung isa sa mga areas for improvement nating Pilipino. Kaya tayo na-stereotype as Filipino time, di ba? So, being great self-leaders would be being punctual, right? Tama ba yung Coach Roda?
Yes, definitely.
That's right. Okay. So, syempre, ibibigay natin yung last 2 minutes sa ating coach. No? Coach Roda, meron ka ba mga gustong i-promote on behalf of Open Text or on behalf of yourself, like mga talks, so webinars, seminars, books, meron na ba? Or website, social media handles to follow? Go ahead. This is your chance.
So if you would want to reach me, or if you have any questions, and maybe you can share as well, your journey to self-leadership, you can find me in LinkedIn. So that's my first name is Roda and my last name is Merca. So I and in behalf of well, not I would like to thank, I'm looking at them right now. So I'd like to thank my team for being here, for being so generous of their time. Their love and support is really overwhelming. I'm really blessed and fortunate to have them, being here. They're not required, but they're here supporting me with this endeavor. And we have our openings. You can find our openings in our LinkedIn page. You can look up Open Text in LinkedIn, and also Open Text Philippines in LinkedIn. So we're very active in that front. So once again, Mentor Myron, it's really an honor and a pleasure, being here. Thank you for having me.
Right. And yeah, speaking of your team, I can personally attest to how supportive they are, di ba? Kung kanina, yung setup natin. Kaya, to you, Coach Roda, and to your team, you deserve this. Ayan, wonderful. Once again, on behalf of everybody, on behalf of MSS, thank you so much, Coach Roda, and may you enjoy the rest of your Saturday and your weekend. Goodbye for now.
Yes, have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too. Bye. You're welcome. All right. Ayan. So, katatapos lang ng ating episode 7 with Coach Roda, our self-leadership expert. So, syempre, alam nyo, yung panonood, pakikinig, that's just one step eh. Diba? Ang next step would be to appreciate and of course to apply and to live by, embody lahat ng mga natutunan natin kay Coach Roda. And we look forward to you becoming successful in whatever your endeavors are, be it in business, be it at work, or be it in life in general. So guys, abangan po natin yung susunod na guest natin next week. Same time, same day, Saturday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And please watch out kung gusto niyo po subaybayan. Sino kaya yung susunod niyang guest? Ano kaya yung susunod na topic sa hashtag Myron Kaming Advice? So please follow me on the social media websites that I mentioned earlier. Mentor Myron Sta na lang. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, right? YouTube, nandyan po tayo lahat. We're everywhere. So, magpapaalam na po muna tayo ngayon and I'll see you again next week. So, bye for now.